All right, Corey, this is John Coker here, and I am here to educate you and anybody else who's willing to listen to this about Rage Against the Machine and how it can be applied to a social studies curriculum. So let me get right into it. All right, so this is my poster. Ah. So as you can see in the middle, I've got Rage. Up here, I've got some nuns with guns. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Down here, this is a picture off of their first album. The cover of the album, it's actually a Buddhist monk protesting and setting himself on fire. Rage are big supporters of Che Guevara, another radical. So I included him on the poster. But let me get right into it. So, for history, I said that one of the most controversial moves of Rage's illustrious career involved putting their music and support behind a man named Mumia Abu Jamal. And Abu Jamal was a journalist who was convicted in 1981 of the murder of a Philadelphia police officer. He insisted that he was innocent, and he even has supporters that claim that he was most likely set up. This was a result possibly because he was affiliated with the Black Panther Party. So, Rage has put a lot of time into trying to free Mumia. They were able to get enough support to forego his death sentence. So he just has a life sentence, I believe. But for the activity, I said students may not have ever heard of the Black Panther Party. Nonetheless, they were an integral part of the race wars during the 1960s and beyond. That was formed to fight back against police brutality with respect to the African American community. If I were to introduce this topic to my social studies students, I would split the class up into two separate groups and have them debate whether or not aggression should be used in response to adversity. So essentially, I just thought it would be really, really, really fun to have a debate. And even if you believed your side or you didn't believe your side, to be convincing. I think students really would get a lot out of that. I said, or as another option, I could simply have students get into small groups and put together an interactive PowerPoint detailing the history of the Black Panther group. I thought that both ways would be great ways to have students look through another lens when analyzing a topic. For my standards, I've got use multiple perspectives to analyze and explain issues or events within and across time periods, events, or cultures, or explain how the historical context, situation, influences a primary or secondary source. So those are my standards for that one. All right, moving onward, I'll go to geography. So a big thing that Rage was into, they followed the Zapatista National Liberation Army, okay? And they're a group of Mexican people who believed in their hearts that the Mexican government and what they represented did not and or would not benefit the majority of the indigenous people of the country. So these people were fighting back, and Rage was behind them. So as a result of this, they decided to fight back. The fighting that ensued cost the lives of approximately 100 people, until the Zapatistas retreated back into the surrounding jungles. Since that point, political wars have ensued and tensions have only grown to be stronger. Rage is a major contributor in trying to help support these people. In my social studies classroom, I would explore the area of geography by centralizing the students' attention on the area of Chiapas, where the Zapatista army originated from. Now, listen to this. I would have students do an inquiry where they would explore the location of the state, the primary language spoken, the food that is consumed there, the climate, and the primary source of income, if any. this would be a map that they would have to have written descriptions of the various elements detailed in the directions to the class. So they would essentially be creating their own map and have labeling on that map and written descriptions on that map. And they would jazz it up, make it look nice. And then the caveat here would be that each student would need to bring in one item to represent the state of Chiapas and explain why they brought it. So that was that. And then I said for my standards, I said interpret patterns in a variety of maps, charts, and graphs to display geographic information, contour, cartogram, population, natural resource, historical maps, and explain relationships among them. So again, students will explore the demographics of Chiapas. Or use paper and digital maps to ask and answer geographic questions. So students will create their own maps, essentially. All right, so moving onward to economics. So in 2010, Rage had sold approximately 16 million albums worldwide, which put them at an ultimate net worth of $25 million, which is pretty amazing, seeing as that they had only put out like 3 albums at that time. So they've really made a lot of cash pretty quick. Think about that. $25 million divided by 3 would mean each band member would get around $8 million. Keep in mind this was earned over a 10-year period. The annual salary of a person living in Chiapas, now get this, is approximately $282.90 per year, which is mind-blowing, I said. Remember that hyphenated word, mind-blowing? When you think about economics, it's fun to put kids in the scenario of having to look at how budgeting works. And in this case, the budgeting of an entire nation. I would ask students, I would task students with creating a personally designed Venn diagram that explains where Chiapas gets its income from. And you know when I said Venn diagram, now that I'm thinking of it, I mean a pie chart. A pie chart. So I will make that change. So they would have sectioned off the percentages of what makes up Chiapas. Let me read this here. Where it gets its income from. So these diagrams can then be entered into a contest where the students collectively vote on the best one. So they vote on each other's. The winner would win a prize of their choice from the prize cabinet located at the front desk area of the school. So my standards for this would be categorize factors of production and how they are combined to make goods and deliver services. And assets, and then assess how limited resources, so i.e. money, land, nature, resources, workers, time, impact the choices of individuals, households, communities, businesses, and countries. So the first one, students will create a pie chart detailing the budget breakdown of Chiapas. And for the second one, this could probably be applied to the breakdown of the Chiapas economy as well. Okay? Now, moving onward to, where are we? To behavioral science. So I said with the insanity that is politics, and we all know that it is, Rage Against the Machine found a voice that they realized could be powerful and could even create change. That being said, protest and political activism have their downfalls as well. This is something that has an effect on not just the people who organize and carry out these activities, but the surrounding community as well. To help students realize the magnitude of this, I would have them play a game of speed charades where they would have to come prepared to act out 3 pros and 3 cons with regards to political activism. And these can be written down on a note card that they will carry with them. So what I would do is I would I would allow for about 4 minutes per round so that both people would get a chance to speak to each other. And then when my when my alarm would go off at the end of the 4 minutes, I would say, rotate, and they would move and find another person and then start talking to that person, and 4 minutes would start again. I figured I would do this for approximately 30 minutes, and it would give the students the ability to interface with about 7 people. And what a cool way, I mean, to get into character and to get thinking, and you know, it helps you see how other people are thinking. I think that's so important, to see other viewpoints, like what other people thought were important enough to include in their 3 pros and 3 cons. So the standard for this would be analyze how culture, ethnicity, race, age, religion, gender, and social class affect a person's self-image and identity and interactions with others. So this will without question occur during these interactions. And then the other one would be analyze how a person's local actions can have global consequences, and how global patterns and processes can affect seemingly unrelated local actions. So I said I believe this could come up within the post-activity conversation, because afterwards, when we're all done with the 30 minutes, we're going to sit down and then we're going to have a share out. How did that make you feel? What did you like best about this activity? What did you learn from this activity? What didn't you like about this activity, so I can make changes in the future? So I don't know. I've seen things done like this before, and kids seem to really, really enjoy it. So I thought it'd be applicable here in this situation. All right, so for inquiry, in terms of inquiry, there's just so much that encapsulates a band like Rage Against the Machine. From their endeavors with the Zapatista National Liberation Army to Mumi Abu-Jamal to Zach De La Roca appearing on C-SPAN. They seem to be everywhere. Zach's lyrics carried so much power and appeared to really resonate with people and how they felt. One lyric that comes to mind from the song Testify really resonated with me and people and how they felt. And the lyric that came to mind was, what did he say? He said, mass graves for the pump and the price is set. What he's trying to convey here is that there are atrocities happening in the world due to relatively unimportant things. And they are literally costing people their lives. One of those things is oil. And it's keeping the rich richer, and it's having an ultimately negative effect on everybody else. For the purpose of self-reflection, I would simply have students write a 1-page journal entry that talks about the most interesting thing that they learned about Rage Against the Machine. This would be done at the end of the unit to kind of wrap everything up. That day, I would take an extended amount of time to have each student share their entry. I think it will pack a good amount of power for all the students to see what their fellow peers took away from the experience. We could even have some rage playing lightly in the background, as you can hear right now, as the journal entries are read. For the standards, communicate conclusions using a variety of media, i.e. video or online, documentaries, exhibits, research papers, or web pages. Analyze and evaluate the logic, relevance, and accuracy of others' claims, taking into consideration potential bias. So for the first one, in essence, we're wrapping up. For the second one, I believe that this could apply as well. So I think that would be a great way to end the whole unit, you know, a large group share out of what they poured their hearts out onto the paper with. Finally, for civics or political science, Rage Against the Machine was always known for going against the grain when it came to politics, and this brought them good and bad press. As a result of this resistance, the band really didn't identify with either the Republican or Democratic Party. They were kind of on an island by themselves as independents. With a huge bone to pick, I might add. They were angry. Take, for instance, their impromptu concert outside the Republican National Convention in 2008. I mean, that was crazy. They just set up shop and started playing outside of the convention. in order to give students an insight on political parties, I would break them into groups of 4. And I would have them create their own political party. They would be tasked with giving the party a name, a symbol, a motto, and an overall platform. This platform that I speak of would include their stance on issues such as healthcare, women's rights, gay rights, social welfare, and foreign policy. This will be so fun because students can go in so many directions with all of these things. For the standards for this, I said analyze the rights and responsibilities of citizens. So voting, jury duty, paying taxes, obeying laws. Investigate how groups like women, religious groups, civil rights groups, indigenous peoples, LGBTQ have advocated for access to greater rights. So this will be spot on with this one. And then the other one was analyze the structure, functions, powers, and limitations of government at the local, state, tribal, and federal levels. No doubt by creating your own political party, this will be realized. So that was my poster on political music and just a microcosm of political music. A great band and probably the last one of that era. And ever. There will never be a band that will be like this again. Rage Against the Machine.